Hello, everybody. It's time to get a big sigh of relief out, as this is the last video of the series. It's a big sigh of relief for me because that means I'm getting done with a project that I'm sure is mediocre at best, but at least it's done and over with, and I can get ready for summer to come on and for college to start and all that jazz. But I'm super excited because I'm talking about my all-time favorite movie, and that would be Evil Dead. So overall, the series was pretty fun and to make and research, and I learned some cool facts about my favorite horror films, and I hope you've learned something as well. I don't know if any of this stuff was beneficial, but I hope you have learned something. But let's just go ahead and dive right into it. Just remember, spoilers ahead, and I mean it this time. Watch this movie beforehand. I love it so much. I'm sure you will too. Silence of not what? The Evil Dead is really fun. So spoilers ahead. Oh, and also remember, at the end of this video you get to meet my lobster. It's a stuffed animal, but it's still a lobster. So Evil Dead was filmed in 1981 by a bunch of college students. It was supposed to be a remake of Within the Woods, and it was inspired by the director's love of H.P. Lovecraft. Speaking of which, like I said, it was a whole bunch of just regular old, college students, one of which happened to be the one and only Sam Raimi, and he is the director of this, and this is his first successful film. So, he's known for directing the Spider-Man series starring Tobey Maguire. So this lead role is played by his childhood friend, Bruce Campbell, and this is his first role. Bruce Campbell didn't expect an acting career out of this. He didn't expect to go anywhere with this. He was just a humble, regular guy. But as we'll discuss, this really kickstarted something for him, as this is this is a very fun and great series. This movie kickstarted his career and Sam Raimi's. So let's get into the movie's content. So the film starts with a whole bunch of college students, and they're arriving at a cabin in the middle of the woods that they plan to use just as a little getaway. The main character is Ash Williams, who's played by Bruce Campbell, and he arrives with his girlfriend, his sister, and friends. In the basement, they find a book, which, I don't know if it's a silly little thing here, it's covered in, it's bound in human flesh and written in blood, so it's always an excellent sign. And it's called the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. And they find that with a recording. So keep in mind, this cabin it belongs to one of the college students. This is the college student's father's place, and their father's a scientist. So he's the one who's giving the recording. So they listen to the recording. So he found the book, and in the recording, he describes the malevolent powers it possesses, and then he recites Latin from it, which unleashes the evil spirit in the woods, that of which we never see, really. We only see from the evil spirit's perspective, which is really cool. I love how they do that. But anytime the spirit comes up into the woods, it just we see where the camera's perspective, and it zooms through the woods, and we see it hitting tree branches and going real fast, and it's a really neat touch. So the spirit possesses Ash's sister at first and turns her into a Deadite. So Deadites kind of look like zombies, and they've got magical powers, they can float in air, they can do weird things, they can create weird visual stuff going on. But they're not real zombies because they don't actually eat people. That's not their intention. They can talk, they can think, all that jazz. So just to cut to the chase here, everyone turns into a Deadite except Ash. He's left alone, and he's being physically and mentally tormented by these Deadites. He's seeing things, he's looking around, and on the objects in the room will start laughing at him and stuff, and he's it looks horrible, looks like hell. And he gives an excellent performance, by the way, Bruce Campbell, as he's running around all crazy while this stuff's happening. And they throw him around, and they mock him, and they trick him into thinking that his friends still exist under the Deadites' rotting flesh. and then they pull the rug right out from under him and try to kill him and stuff, and this eventually causes his mental stability to completely deteriorate, and they force him to see crazy things like a body which decomposes in a terrifying claymation sequence, but it's absolutely wonderful. It's like really, really cool. So eventually he tears the Deadites apart, and he appears to have won as the sun finally comes up after an extremely long night of torment. The movie ends, however, with that shaky cam of the spirit flying through the woods as it bursts into the house. It goes through the front, and then it bursts through the back door, and then it comes up towards Ash. We see Ash flip around. He makes a really big scared face, and then it just like stops right on that face. And then bam, it ends. So all the other movies that we explored had important main messages for us to use as a life lesson to grow and expand as people. The Evil Dead has no such message. So why did I decide to include it in my series, and why is it my last video? Well, the reason why I had to put Evil Dead in here was to show that the other side of horror films. A lot of horror films wish to inform people by pulling them out of their comfort zone, but films like these, they want to show the importance of having good old-fashioned fun. And it also goes along with the idea of escapism. People watch these strange, out-of-pocket films to escape their lives, and the unrealistic movie, it takes part in an unrealistic movie that can direct their attention to situations that would never really happen, Evil Dead is over the top on purpose. Their goal was to throw everything into the movie all at once and see what happened. Not only did it work the first time, but every installment in this franchise has become successful. It was first a trilogy. It was this one. It was the second one, which was even better than the first one. It's mostly just Ash back in the cabin, and the visuals, everything is just 100 times better. It's amazing. The third one, he's brought, like, there's this whole plot line where he's thrown back into the past, and it's less gory and less scary and more goofy and stuff, but even the goofiness works and won the audience hearts, and it's great. Like, even my mom, like, I'm not even sure if she's seen the other two, but she owns a copy of the third movie, and she loves it. It's one of her favorites. And then they also had a remake. And usually remakes by other directors in horror series don't go over that well, but the remake in this tense worked perfectly. So I have an idea on remakes. In order to make a good one, they have to follow along with the original to some degree. They have to tie in somewhere, but they have to take their own creative spin and liberties on it. So an example of a film that does not do this is the remake of Psycho starring Vince Vaughn, where it is almost a shot-for-shot remake. So they barely added anything new, and I hated it. I couldn't even finish that one. I couldn't watch it. But the remake in Evil Dead is perfect because while it sticks to the original source material, they take all the fun, crazy stuff out, and they make it 100% dead serious and horrifying and bloody and gory, but it works really, really well. And that's a good example of a movie doing its own thing, but still making the fans happy. They also made a show, which also, like, with Bruce Campbell, like, at this point, it was made in the 2010s, I think, and Bruce Campbell was a lot older, and they different actors and stuff, but it was still really greatly received, and everyone still loved it, and, overall, like, this franchise just it went over really well, and they had good luck with it. And that goes to show that sometimes people don't want movies to remind themselves of the issues of the world. They just want to relax and delve into a fantasy world of crazy ha ha he he what's going on. So might as well get into the fun facts now. So they decided to try getting stoned before filming some of the scenes. They had heard about Jack Nicholson doing that while filming Easy Rider, and they decided to try it out. But just like that Rick and Morty incident that happened a while ago, they weren't productive. Nothing came out of those sessions. They were unable to focus. So the cabin that they filmed in had a pretty weird, dark history. So the man who originally built it, he died like a week after he built it, whatever. But a long time after that, a grandma, a mom, and their daughter moved into the house. And the cabin often had like lightning strikes around it during storms due to the amount of iron ore that was in the mountains at the time. So during one of those storms, the daughter woke up, and it never really described what happened, but the mom and the grandma were dead, apparently. She found them both in the rooms, and so I didn't get any more information on that, so it could be just hearsay. It could not have happened that at all, but who knows. But what did happen was that a week after they filmed the first movie, the cabin was struck by lightning and burned down. So a week after they finished wrapping, the cabin was destroyed forever, which is really sad, especially since they made sequels to know that it's not the original set. So it's kind of creepy, right? I don't know. Oh, Stephen King's back, as he gives this movie a big thumbs up, and he calls it, I quote, the most ferociously original film of 1982. So, yeah, that's about it. That's all I had for this one, and that's all I have for the rest of the series. Maybe I'll post stuff later on, but this was made for a specific project, you know. And, I mean, once again, thanks for watching my series. Horror is my passion, and I love delving into the lore that comes along with watching them. It's my favorite part. So in the comments below, you can tell me your favorite film that you would love me to watch, and maybe, I'd love to watch it. I'd love to have more great movies to obsess over. So I guess before I go, I can't really leave the video without giving the people what they want. You know, you guys have never been here for me. You've been here for the lobster. We can all agree on that. So this is him. This is the lobster. He's my cameraman, I guess. Yeah. I gave it a name, but I can't remember his name. So he'll go back behind the camera, just like that. And I'm going to say thank you again, and I'm going to leave. So thank you again, and yeah.